G'day guys, just thought I'd do a bit of an update video on what's happening out here at the ranch at the moment. Obviously we're now all in lockdown, so I've got plenty of time to be digging, which I have been. And I also thought I'd take the opportunity just to show you guys how I build an up ramp and maybe give you a few tips along the way. So here we go. So as for building dirt jumps, I don't know how many tips I'm going to give you here, but one of my tips is check the weather. What's the weather doing in the next week? Is it going to rain? Which it actually is now, so you've got to make a plan for that. And also, is it coming into winter? Is it coming into summer? All these things you've got to sort of think about and plan. I've got my little puddle here which I use to get water because I don't have a dam yet. As you can see here, I've got to do a bit more drainage. I've sort of cut it out a bit, but I've got to dig it down a bit more. So think about drainage as well is another big tip. It sort of goes in with the weather thing, because as you can see there, it's all muddy and sloppy, which I knew was going to happen, but I didn't really care because I was going to use all the water to sort of wet down the jump as well, which I did yesterday. Soil. The soil here is pretty crappy in this section. So yesterday I went down the block a bit with a wheelbarrow and brought a few loads of the better dirt and put it all on top of that. I'll show you how I go building the actual lips in a little bit, but yeah, so that's why it's red on top of the other crappy dirt that's there. So probably the most important thing when you're going to be building your jumps is have a good plan from the beginning where you're going to go. So this is the original dirt jump line, but I'm changing it a fair bit because I made the mistake of going too much downhill and you just picked up too much speed. So this is the last one I did yesterday, just shaped up this lip. You'll notice that it's not nice and clean on the edges, and the reason why I like to do that is in case you've made mistakes, there's no point spending a whole heap of time and effort on making it all nice and pretty and then it doesn't ride well. So I like to get it riding well first, and then, you know, in a month's time, once you're totally happy with the line, then you can make it all look nice as well. There's no point putting all that effort in and then you have to change it. Alright, so what I do, I use an excavator. If you don't have an excavator and you've got to shovel it, it's still the same principle. Get your pile, sort of you've figured out your line, and just keep looking at it from every angle and just make sure it looks roughly right. Then once I've got it pretty close, I'll use the rake to shape it up, which I've done now. For this one, I've left a bit of like the good dirt sitting here at the bottom to soak because I knew it was going to rain. So I'll be throwing that up on top for the top part of the lip. And then basically I'll be using the shovel with the bucket of water to keep the shovel wet and just slap the crap out of the whole thing. And then yeah, anytime I need more, I've got this pile of good dirt to chuck back up on top. And yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. So I'll show you my method. So firstly, even though it's pretty wet, I'll just give it a quick little soaking. Make sure it's got plenty in there. It's pretty good though. You don't want to go too wet, otherwise it all slides down. So now all you got to do, super important with red dirt and clay, keep the shovel wet. As soon as it dries up, it just peels off whatever you're hitting. So I always just have a wheelbarrow handy and just yeah, dip it in, you'll see the dirt. I'll try to get it to happen so I can show you, but you'll see the dirt start to tear. And then that just means that you need a dip again. And if you don't, I'll show you. I'll show you what it looks like. Dip. Keep that shovel wet. I always like to start with the top of the lip so you can get the exact angle you want at the top, and then you can work the rest of it out from there rather than building up to it. I prefer to start at the top. I don't know how anyone else does it, but that's what I do. Sort of just give it a bit of a, just the top sort of meter, I reckon, is what I start with. Give it a bit of a rough go, and then you can fine tune it. So I'll keep going, and I'll get this shovel to do that. It's too dry. It's almost too dry now. So you can see, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but it's dry. And this is what happens. See if I can do it. One-handed, yep, there you go. Too dry, and it does that. So if I had dipped it that last go, wouldn't have done that. So you got big holes in there, and it can get a lot worse than that. So if you dip it, even with that on there, it should still be right now. And boom, there you go. It's a bit hard one-handed, but nice and wet, doesn't stick. Another thing as well is you've got to like hit it and slide at the same time. If you just go a big straight bang, that wasn't too bad, but I reckon the next one, no, that was alright as well. There you go. So keeping it wet and keeping it sort of hit and slide is how you stop that from happening. And once I've got about that done, just real quick little rough smash, I'll come around the side and just have a look and just check the angles. So from what I can see, I need to hit the other side a bit harder in, and it's pretty close. You'll see there a big lump, but that doesn't matter because I'll bash that down and scrape it down later. That's why I like to get the top done first, because that's the last angle that you look at before you get airborne. So I think that's the most important, to get perfect, and then you work back from that. Okay, so now I'm at this stage. I'm going to go to the top of the ramp, and I'm just going to hit the whole top and the backs and shape it all up properly. Can't take the wheelbarrow up there, so I just take my watering can so I can keep that shovel wet. And the sides. Alright, you sort of get the point. And then if I need to wet the shovel, I'll actually put it above where I'm working and just use a can. That way I'm wetting the shovel and wetting the dirt that I want to hit. And that's how I do it. Alright, so now that's good enough for now. Obviously later on I'll come back and clean everything up, but I'm pretty sure the lip looks pretty nice. It's got that higher side there, which is good for when you hit it properly. And then it's a tiny bit smaller for if you're cutting the corner. Now as you can see, hopefully you'll see that big bump in it. So we're going to go down there now, use the red rake, scrape it down a tiny bit, and then just finish bashing it in. Just make sure as you go, take out any of the crap so it doesn't give you grief later on. Sticks, rocks. Ideally, you want to sieve the dirt, which I probably will end up doing later on once it's all hard. Then I'll probably sieve the dirt. It's too wet to sieve at the moment, so sieve the dirt, get a nice fresh layer over the top once it's all done, but it'll be totally rideable as is. Alright, so I'm at the stage where I'm happy. I've whacked it all into basically down to the pit. I'll move on to the next up ramp now. Because the ground was so wet, I only used the tiniest bit of water, just basically just keeping that shovel wet. So the tools I had, I just use a digging shovel. That's a concreter's rake, but any steel rake is fine. Watering can, wheelbarrow, and your flat long handle is the way to go. Yeah, so it looks good from back there. We'll check the angle from the side, make sure there's no big lumps in it, but it looks pretty damn nice. Like I said, there's no point going crazy making it all beautiful and then it doesn't ride well, and then you've got to change it. So I'll leave it like that for now. Smooth out the bottom. Not sure what's going to go on with that boom yet, but yeah, that'll be the next video. Hopefully I'll start making some more vids again, and then hopefully come summer everyone's back out riding bikes and I've got some sick stuff for everyone. Give us a follow and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.